Hello everyone, this is lecture 11 of advanced drilling, PTRE 451 and 545. Last time we started module 2 and I'm now using the folder in the second module on Blackboard to put those MP4 files. If you have any trouble finding it, email me or the TA will assist. I did upload homework 2. Is due on Wednesday, the 26th. That means not this Wednesday, the next. Please start it early because it's longer than the first one and more tedious, I would say. So you'll need to make some plots, etc., etc. It's not terrible. I will probably go over it either on Thursday or Tuesday, the latest. But I have office hours today. Excuse me, 1 to 4, and then next week 1 to 4. So if you, you can take advantage of those office hours. It's 3 hours every session. What else? Yeah. Your TA is traveling, so there may be a slight delay in the grading of the first homework, but you have it as soon as it's possible. What else? Yeah, that about it. And yeah, last time we did see the difference between, we said everything from module 1, all the equations that we saw were static. There was no movement associated, no dynamic stuff, therefore no friction, no dynamic pressure losses to friction. So in this module, which is about drilling hydraulics, it's all about friction. Okay, and friction plays a very big role when you drill because you lose pressure to friction all over the circulation system, and you need to take account of it. And some of those pressure losses are not useful, like it's heat dissipation, basically, just like I guess when you are driving on the street and the car is facing the drag by the air, you need to basically work against that. But some of them are useful, just like in the car when you brake, you basically convert the motion motion energy to heat in the brakes, right? So there you need to stop movement, so you are using friction accordingly. Therefore, that would be considered something useful. And similarly here, there are frictional losses at the bit that are helping you, helping your ROP, helping your rate of penetration, helping you make hole. And there are friction losses everywhere else that are basically heat dissipation, that are basically not very useful. Now, we related everything to the YouTube model. We said that the YouTube model is always valid. Okay, even now that you have frictional losses, you can still use the YouTube model the same way. It's just adding the pressures on every leg. And if you are in a balanced condition, BHP must be equal to FPP. That's it. And then we saw some dynamic values. We talked about that we are going to see some equivalent mat weight and equivalent circulating density. Now, if you took a class on drilling before, you probably learned about equivalent circulating density. You didn't learn about EMW. And those, unfortunately, some people are using them interchangeably. And we're going to clarify that. We did clarify that last time. But I did show you how to draw the hydraulic loop. And by the way, before I redraw the loop, I was going to say, yeah, those frictional losses values are very hard to come up with, and a lot of people spend their masters and even PhDs working on such correlations. I mean, I know somebody, he won the paper contest in Europe, SP, whatever region Europe is. I think it's Europe and Africa, something like that, or Europe and North Africa. I don't know how they have it. In 2007, and his project was a drilling hydraulics model, basically. He's now a consultant in Houston. I know him. So it's it's a classic topic, and there will never be an ending with that because you can always come up with a better correlation. You can always make new experiments, derive new values, and understand how it goes. Now, the hydraulic loop that I told you guys, you need to be paying attention because there is not a lot in the literature about it. And I gave you a H. Rabia book, 1978. That's the only book I know that has it, actually. Anywhere else? I know that my old advanced drilling professor was writing a book in the 90s, and he didn't manage to publish it, or he didn't finish it. I think he was going through, his wife was dying or something, and he did copyright, I believe, the drafts. So I cannot give you this stuff. But anyway, this book, I think it's called Oil Well Drilling or something, has about the drilling loop, the hydraulic loop. So we start on the surface, out of the tanks into the pump, out of the pump into the standpipe, down the rotary hose, into the swivel, through the wash pipe, and then down the Kelly, down the drill pipe, down the bottom hole assembly, and then out of the annulus, and then of the bottom, out of the annulus between the bottom hole assembly and the borehole, and between the drill pipe and the borehole, and of course out of the bit nozzle, all the way up, and then you're supposed to be at atmospheric pressure here. So to draw this, we start from a certain value out of the discharge line, and then we move to the left because we lose friction through this system, and then we go down. Then we reach this point here, where we say the inside of the drill collar is smaller than the inside of the drill pipe, even though the outside is bigger. So then we said it goes on like this. We lose a little bit of a slope. And then across the bit, now we assume that the bit is heightless because it's very small compared to the rest of the drill string. So we just lose pressure to friction through the bit nozzles, the jet nozzles of the bit. So this is important. This is the PB. And then up the annulus between the drill pipe and the, between the bottom hole assembly and the borehole, and then all the way to zero on the surface. Now, we said that this slope is not equal necessarily to this slope. It depends. But certainly this slope is smaller than this slope, and I didn't really spend a lot of time last time to explain why. We briefly mentioned it, so I want to talk about this change of slope here a little bit. And that is, okay, on the vertical axis, you have depth. So you understand that by moving from this depth to this depth, you lose basically a certain pressure to friction, and you gain certain pressure because of the depth that you are gaining, right? Now, assume that the depth that you are gaining is fixed, okay, per feet, right? This is PSI per foot. So PSI per foot. So I'm gaining 0.052 times raw mass for every feet that I'm going in, right? PSI for every feet. Okay. Then in the drill pipe, I'm losing X to friction. So I'm basically gaining the slope here would be basically related to 0.052 raw mat. It's 1 feet times 1 foot. And then minus X, right? Which is what you are losing to friction. And this is PSI per foot. Now the slope is feet over PSI. So I take this value, I make it 1 over this value, and I get the slope. Okay. Now once I get into the drill collars, the BHA, the conduit I'm flowing fluid through is smaller. Okay, so I'm facing more friction. This X becomes bigger. Okay, but still I'm gaining for every foot of the drill collars, I'm still gaining hydrostatically 0.052 raw mat, right? Still doesn't change that. That's why it appears smaller. The slope gets steeper. That's why it should look like this. Yeah. And I wanted to make that clear. But yeah, the hydraulic loop will be very important for the second homework. That is, you have to draw some. Now, I also wanted to ask you a question. Okay, let's draw the hydraulic loop again. 1 second. We said we start from the surface, we go to the left, then we go down, then it's steeper. I didn't make it very correct. And then you go like this, and then you go like this, and then you go up. Okay. Now imagine that my hole was deeper, and my bead was standing, wasn't touching the bottom. I had this extra gap. Okay. So I lifted my bead. I'm circulating, but my bead is lifted, and there is a gap between it and the bottom hole. How will that look like in the hydraulic loop?
How to represent the gap?
Yeah.
You lifted your drill bit up.
There is a little bit of an extra space at the bottom. And I'm pumping, I'm circulating. How will that look in the hydraulic loop?
I think it should be less of pressure to the. Yeah.
I take this slope here, and I draw another line for this. This is basically extra annulus. I didn't make it the same. You get the idea. There is an extra annulus here. So I have to have that extra carrot at the bottom. Drill pipe ends here. Drill string ends here. But the annulus extends all the way down further. Right? Okay. That operation is very important. Lifting it up and circulating with the gap to the bottom is called breaking the gel. Breaking the gel.
Which gel are they referring to?
Breaking the gel is like when you are mixing mud. They call it when you are mixing mud of different weights and you want to replace it. Yeah, it's And the homework too, the data I gave you to build your hydraulic loop, the model I used to generate that data ignores any turbulence at the bottom of the bit. So in this part here, this little caret at the very end is only hydrostatic losses. So you only gain because of the depth, you gain more depth, and then you lose it, right? By going up. This is it assumes that there is no turbulence, no frictional losses here. And that's how the model is. It's an old model. Anyway, that's how it works basically. Imagine you have basically drill string, drill string, drill string. Oops, sorry. Drill string, and then it ends, but the annulus goes all the way down. Anyway, yeah. Any questions? You need to be comfortable drawing hydraulic loops, and I think you should be after the homework. And oh yeah, we said that. 1 second. I want to see what I drew. Got away. Anyway, okay, ignore the extra angles that I said about. Okay, let's just say that. And I want to ask you a question. We said that in any point in the hydraulic loop, there is a pressure and a depth. And you can convert that to a density equivalent. And we call that density equivalent EMW. Right? Yeah. And then we said, I have EMW everywhere on the hydraulic loop. And in depth, I have two values, right? When I have the drill string. Now, if I had the extra caret here, I only have one EMW value at that point. Okay, we said at this point here, that's the ECD. The ECD is a very special value of EMW. Let me ask you something. What would be, where would you have the highest EMW?
The base where you
Where?
Should be
the beats.
the bits that
Why?
I believe you said if we are going down, the pressure is increasing,
Okay.
although there's a pressure loss due to friction. So by the time we got to the beat, although there's going to be pressure loss, but the deeper you go, the higher the pressure. So
Okay, the deeper you go, the higher the pressure. How do you convert the pressure and depth to density equivalent? Say here, I have pressure P. I divide and the TVD depth. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, how do I do that into excuse me, equivalent density? Okay, we are gonna call it EMW is P divided by 0.052 TVD, right? Okay, and that's in ppg units, pounds per gallon, right? Good. Okay. Think about it again now. Where is the highest TVD? Oh, the highest EMW.
the surface.
What would be?
Infinite.
Huh?
Infinite.
If it would be infinite, yeah. Why it would be infinite?
Zero. The TBD there is zero.
Because TVD is zero, you are dividing by a zero value. So here, I have EMW infinite, right? I'm dividing by
Zero.
Yeah. Right? What is my EMW here?
Same, 0.
But can we say zero?
Oh, it's actually 0 divided by 0. It's in
Atmospheric pressure.
yeah, but the depth is also 0. So you divide by 0 by 0. So it's indeterminate or
Defined.
yeah. It's
Undefined.
not defined, indeterminate, like it can be. But what does the EMW being infinite there means?
Very nice.
It's the easiest place to fracture, right? Is the easiest, also it's a very dangerous place to be in. It means that you have pressure on the surface, right? And you do have pressure on the surface, obviously. All this equipment have pressure, have pressure on the surface. And then it's basically, there it's unconfined. I mean, you have an explosion there is nothing to hold it. So how do you expect the EMW to vary as you go down?
Decreases.
Decreases? But why?
EMW.
Yeah, throughout the loop.
So it should increase then decrease.
Decrease and then increase?
Increase then decrease.
Increase first?
Yes. it
The
should.
pressure is increasing, the depth is increasing. If you put
Well, the pressure is increasing
Yeah,
and the depth is also increasing.
yeah.
We're talking about the pressure, right? Not the density.
The equivalent mass density.
Excuse me, sir. Your question is about the mud density,
Yeah,
mud weight.
equivalent mass weight. P and TVD cancel each other out, the changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. P and TVD cancel each other out. So one increases, the other one decreases. Sorry, they both increase, but they are canceling each other out in a sense. But you are losing pressure to friction.
Yes.
So you are expecting it to decrease as you go down. Because I'm basically losing pressure to friction. If I didn't have frictional losses, my loop will look at that place, it will look something like, let's see. If I didn't have pressure losses to friction, I would be starting from here, and then it would be like something like this. Straight line, and then up. So going down, and then up. Straight line with a bigger, sorry, with a smaller slope than this line. Because there is no losses to friction, and there is only hydrostatic gains, would be like this. And this would be, in this case, in the purple line, EMW is equal to the static density of the mud, and it's basically all throughout. This is the case where I'm pumping at the pressure. So it's, I guess, not entirely right. I start at the pressure. But if I stop pumping, imagine I stop pumping completely, okay? And I only have static mud weight, what we learned in the first module. How will the hydraulic loop look like? And the answer is, I come to 0, and it looks like a like this. And that's basically, in that case, EMW is equal to rho mat. Except on the surface, of course, you're going to have, well, in the surface, you're going to have 0, 0 again, but anywhere throughout the hole, it's going to be a raw mat, basically, because you don't have any frictional losses. The frictional losses make the line lose slope. And then basically you have the whole loop by going through the system. Let's see some examples to clarify the things out a little bit, might be easier. It will certainly be clearer after the homework, but okay, let's see the equations first. ECD refers to the density the drill formation is filling at the bottom hole during mud circulation. ECD is also expressed as a density value in PPG and can never be smaller than raw mat. If you calculate an ECD that is smaller than the raw mat, the static mat weight, you did something wrong. And when the ECD is equal to the mat weight, it means that you are not pumping. Always, it is measured at TVD total, not all the time, and incorporates the pressure losses due to friction in the annulus. Like, for instance, when you are breaking gel, you assume that you can still calculate the ECD. You can still calculate the ECD. And in that case, because of the model I use in the homework, it assumes that anything below that is hydrostatic losses. There is no frictional losses below the bit, even if it's standing up. That's why effectively you are measuring it as if you are as if the hole ends there at the bottom of the bit, right? But yeah, generally speaking, ECD means that you are actually drilling. But not always, unfortunately. There's a lot of stuff in drilling that are used interchangeably and causes a lot of confusion. Anyway, this is the calculation for the ECD. Is raw mat plus delta P annulus divided by 0.052 times TVD total. Now, delta P in the annulus is the pressure losses after going through the bit. So basically, if I go back here, let me draw the hydraulic loop again. Sorry. ECD is here. This and this is delta P annulus, okay? The pressure losses to friction. So if I take the pressure here and the pressure here, and I subtract from it the hydrostatic component, I will have the annulus losses to friction. So the pressure from there, say that the pressure here is 1,000 psi, and the pressure here is 0. But I know from the hydrostatic 0.052 raw mat weight times this depth is something like 850 psi. It means that the pressure losses to friction are, what am I missing? 150 psi. Okay, this is the value I want, because this is the pressure losses that I need to be applying on the pump to be able to bring fluid on the surface at 0 atmospheric pressure. If the pumps are off, I have no circulation, and we said ECD is mat weight, static mat weight. Now, equivalent mat weight, similar to ECD, but often measured at the TVD of the bead, okay. But you know you can measure it everywhere in the hydraulic loop. This is the equation that you are gonna use, but I think you better use, it's the same thing, but I think it's more clear if you use the equation I showed in the slide a few slides ago for the, basically you take the pressure at that value of the hydraulic loop and you divide by 0.052 TVD. Yeah, I think I have a note here. If the bead is touching the bottom of the hole, TVD bead equals to TVD total, and then you have EMW equals ECD. Yeah, and let's see. Although EMW is usually reported for bead depth, EMW values can be assigned for any TVD. Values can be obtained using the pressure of the mat at TVD, and TVD can be any TVD. At pressure, this is the equation I mentioned earlier, I used in the class. So I gave you the official equation before if you want to give it at the bead depth, but at any, depth, you can use that equation. Basically, you take the pressure at that value of the mat at that value, and you convert that to density equivalent, period. If the bead is not touching the bottom, like your homework, it may be easier to subtract all the pressure losses to friction from the drill pipe pressure, or add anything left to the CP. So it's basically the YouTube model. You either use the left leg or the right leg. In the left leg, you start from DPP, and then you remove the pressure losses to friction, or on the right leg, you start from the CP, which is atmospheric, and then you start adding. Because basically, it's like I start at 1,000 on the surface, and then I end up with 0 on the flow line, right? Okay, I started on the surface, I finished on the surface. Whatever depth I gained, I lost. So those 1,000 were all used to friction. Because whatever hydrostatic I gained because of depth, I lost when I was coming up, right? I went down and then up. I started from the surface, I finished on the surface. So ignore all the hydrostatic stuff, you just have the friction. That's why we're gonna see later, it's a common practice before they start drilling a section to run the pumps and measure the pressure on the surface. And that pressure on the surface is an indication of the frictional losses at those conditions. Now, when you are drilling, obviously you make your hole deeper and you have more friction, but you already have a good indication from the beginning of that section. Then you change something, say the mud weight. You need to do that again. So before you start drilling, just circulate at a certain rate that you expect to be drilling. If I'm gonna be drilling at 140 SPM, I will circulate at 140 SPM and read the pressure on the drill pipe for that, and I will record it down. And that is a good indication of basically the frictional losses.
That you encounter throughout.
Throughout, yeah. Yeah, because whatever depth I will gain, I will lose coming up. So hydrostatic wouldn't matter. We'll see on the simulator how to do that. Example problem number 1. A 1,000 feet TVD vertical well is filled with 9.62 ppg mud. It is open to the atmosphere. Calculate the EMW at 0 feet, 500 feet, and 1,000 feet. Okay. This is easy numbers, but it's not necessarily an easy problem. Okay. I have a well, it's 1,000 feet TVD. It has MAD that is 9.62. And I want the pressure here, the EMW here, the EMW here, and the EMW at the bottom. Notice that I didn't talk about any drill pipe or anything. It's a well without any drill string in it. It's just an open hole with fluid in it. It's just a hole on the ground with mud inside. So it's gonna be only 3 values. Okay, so first, first let's start from the equation. EMW is equal to the pressure at that TVD divided by 0.052 TVD in what units? ppg. Okay. What is my EMW at 0 feet? It's gonna be, what is my pressure at? Atmospheric, so 0. What is my depth?
0.
0, okay. What is the answer to that? Exactly. 0 by 0. What is the EMW at 500 feet? So what is the same equation? What is the pressure there? Huh? How do you do that?
0.05
Times 9.62 times, okay. What is this answer?
It should be 9.6 divided by, okay, the multiplication. So that's 250 approximately.
Yep. 250. I'm moving this here to make more space. And what is at the denominator is 0.052 times
500.
500. Okay, this cancels out with this. This cancels out with this. And what do I have? Okay. No need to work out the math here because it's an easy answer. It's 9.62 ppg. So the same as the static mud weight. What is the EMW at 1,000 feet? Again, the same equation as Coyote said, 0.052 times 9.62 times 1,000 now, divided by, I cannot write here, 0.052 times TVD, which is 1,000. 1,000 cancels out, 0.052 cancels out, and the answer I get is 9.62 ppg, right? So you understand what I was trying to show last when I said it's undetermined on the surface, but then it's basically everywhere else is basically 0. If everywhere else it's the static mud weight, and everywhere else means even if it's 0.1 foot depth, it's going to be 9.62. It's only the model breaks only at 0, exactly 0, right? Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
If we apply, for example, some question statistics said if there's a pressure applied to the drill pipe like 1,000.
Yeah.
So that means the pressure at the surface is now 1,000 plus 0.05 per GH over.
Yeah,
will
but
not make it
it's
zero.
surface, so it's 1,000 plus 0.052 times raw mud times 0. So it's 1,000 divided by a certain value, but it's a 0, so it's 1,000 plus 0. Okay.
Over
over zero basically. So it's gonna be
This is
infinite.
infinite.
Then when you have infinite, actually this problem is coming up. You are gonna see it. It's either example problem number 2 or 3. Okay. Example problem number 2. Same problem as number 1, but with 250 psi shading surface pressure.
Okay.
So that's the same thing that you asked before. I will draw it again, just 0 feet, 5,000, well, feet. Fill it with mud. And then you have plus 250 psi from the top. Okay, this is a 9.62 ppg mud. Okay, same thing as before. I'm on the surface and I would write smaller letters now, smaller numbers to not waste space. EMW at 0 feet is, what is the pressure at 0 feet? It's, what do you think is the pressure at 0 feet? 250 divided by 0.052 divided by 0. What is this number? Infinite. Okay, I have infinite now on the surface. What about at 500 feet? What is the pressure at 500 feet? Plus the hydrostatic at that point, which is 9.62 the mud weight times 500. So what is this number? You don't need a calculator. Yep, and what is the denominator? Is 0.052 times
500.
exactly 500 cancels out. Oops, sorry, no.
No.
I lied.
Yeah.
Can you do this calculation? Is
One on top
basically
is 500, right?
500 divided, well, the whole upstairs is 500. Okay, so you can do 1 divided by 0.052.
I think the answer is just 2.
No, it's not 2. It cannot be big. It cannot be smaller than the equivalent mud weight. Hey Siri, what is 1 divided by 0.052?
Oh. Yeah, that's 19.230.
Yep, that's an important value. You know why? It's an important value. If you convert that to PSI per foot, what does it go converts to?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Basically, you divide by, well, now you multiply by 0.052. Times
1.
It becomes 1. So it's equivalent to 1, I will use identical, to 1 PSI per foot. Well, who took geomechanics from here? That is the average lithostatic stress gradient. That's the average weight of the Earth. Yeah. Many times they ask people, what is the highest mud weight you can use? And the answer is like, if you assume you are in a normal faulting stress state, the highest would be SV, the vertical, the overburden stress. And you are going to use 1 PSI as an approximation of that. We often say, so this is an important value to know that 19.23 ppg is about 1 PSI per foot, which is on average the lithostatic stress gradient, which you will learn if we do geomechanics. Remember in well completions when we did overburden?
Yeah,
And there was this integral, and I told you average 1 psi per foot, that's where it comes. Yeah. Now, and the undergrads are gonna see it in next fall, if we are still around. Now, EMW at 1,000,
Jesus comes, we are in heaven.
at 1,000 feet. What is the 1,000 feet? What is the numerator? 250, excellent, class. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Excellent. I'm not putting units, but you know the units. And then bottom times 1,000. Okay. Now on the surface, on the numerator, you have 500 plus 250, so it's 750. At the denominator, you have 0.052 times 1,000. What is this number going to? Hey Siri, what is 0.75 divided by 0.052?
0.75 divided by 0.05 is 15.
Okay, good. So you understand now, it goes down, EMW. Right? So it's easier for me to fracture here than here. Because EMW is the exact pressure the rock is feeling at that depth. Right? So if I want to, it's easier for me to fracture here than here. And easier to fracture here than here. Right?
Why? Is it
What?
because
Yeah, the value for the mount distance is more than this. Why is it?
Yeah, the EMW is infinite on the surface.
Yes, that place is understandable.
And then it's 19.23,
Uh-huh.
and then it's 15. So it goes down. It
Yeah,
decreases.
even it decreased. But I was thinking that that place where you need more to be able to fight at the 500, the depth of 500.
No, it means that it's easier to fracture because you are feeling a bigger pressure. This is not the fracture gradient. Fracture gradient, the pressure at which you need to get to fracture, it's gonna be module 3. We're gonna talk about it in module 3. This is the pressure that you are applying on the rock.
Okay.
This is the pressure that you are applying or the rock is feeling. Basically, you just have a hole filled with 9.62 ppg, and then you apply 250 on the top. And then basically I'm telling you, the rock is feeling infinite pressure on the surface. Sorry, infinite density on the surface. 1 psi per foot on the 500, and then 0.75 psi per foot on the bottom.
Should be 14 points from my calculation. I'm getting 14.4.
Could be. Yeah, but there is. Are you sure?
I don't
Because
know, maybe I'm making mistake.
These two together make 0.5. So this 0.5, 500, 750. 750 divided by 1,000 is 0.75. So I asked Siri to do 0.75 divided by 0.052. Could be.
I'm still getting 14.4.
And Siri was wrong. Maybe.
Maybe I'm not going to.
Yeah, you know what? Hey Siri, what is 0.75 divided by 0.052? Yeah, now it's saying the right answer. She didn't hear me very well the first time. Sorry about that.
That means we humans, we are still better than AI or anything.
Yeah, I
You
was,
feed the AI.
I was gonna say it, but I didn't. I was gonna say it, but I said not in class because it's recorded. I don't want it to appear anywhere else. Anyway.
Wait until I can buy and say it.
Yeah. Anyway, so but you understand it's going down, right? You started from infinity, you are going down. You are going down. Okay. So, before I want to go back and say something. It's gonna make things clearer now. How do I show what I want to show anyway.
So the IR, the EMW,
Yeah.
the easier it is to fracture
Yeah.
the rock.
The EMW is what the rock is feeling. Okay. The fracture pressure is what you need to exceed to break the rock. Now, if the EMW exceeds that, you are done. You have fractured the rock. Now, I'm not gonna draw exactly what I had, but I think you guys are now super certain that okay, I can break the rock easier here, easier here than here than here, right? Okay. So say I run casing on the rock. And basically I make my I protect the rock to a certain depth, the casing shoot depth. Where is the easiest place to fracture?
It based on
Huh?
it based on the shoe.
Yeah. That means now I'm protecting everything up to that point. That means now I'm really worried when I'm drilling, I'm really worried what happens here. Because if I fracture here, that's the easiest place to fracture, right? That's the most vulnerable point, the casing shoot depth. Okay? Anything below that needs more to break. So this is my weakest point. This is what I'm worried about. So when I do leak-off testing, you're really measuring the fracture pressure at that point. We're going to talk about it in module 3. But yeah, so this is the basically, that's why when I'm running casing and anything I do to the well, if I'm worried about fracturing, I'm worried about fracturing at that casing shoe, what Coyote said, at the casing shoe. Okay, this is my most vulnerable point. So I want to run casing as deep as I can, right? You know why now. I want to protect as much of my well as I can. Then I can have anything inside because steel won't break before the rock, right? Unless you have some chemical interaction that is irrelevant to this discussion, basically. Anyway, that's why we say the casing shoot depth. And now we have time to see the first video from the YouTube model. Oh, sorry, the YouTube model, the iPhone simulator. We're gonna see what happens. How do you start drilling, basically? Which is what I described earlier. Let me see if the video link still works. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't use the projector because the people online cannot see it. Okay, skip that. Nobody, you cannot see the projector on the, if I use the projector, the people online won't be able to see it. It doesn't go on the screen. So I did ask Jordan for that the first time I was teaching this class, which made it sad because I remember when I was taking blood prevention class in Texas in 2016, the professor would make us go to the board under the screenshot, under the projector listing, and basically do the exercise on our phone at live. But now I had to pre-record the exercise. So it's unfortunately. Anyway, This is how the drilling simulator 3 looks like. Now that you know a lot of stuff, I think you can understand what is going on. Okay, so this, excuse me, this pump pressure here is the DPP, the drill pipe pressure. If the well is shut in, this becomes SI DPP. Okay. This here, oh, sorry. This here, it's drill pipe pressure. Whatever is here shows also here. Okay. Now let me use another color. Let me use yellow. This here is the choke pressure, which is basically your CP. When you are drilling, oops, what happened? Oh. When you are drilling, it should be 0. If the well is shut in, it would be the choke pressure. So it should be saying casing pressure. And then when the well is shut in, it should be showing choke pressure. But for simplicity, I guess the guy who made the app made it say choke pressure all the time. Now, if you are injecting, then this becomes is the kill line pressure because you're injecting from the kill line. But anyway, these are basically, these two are basically the casing pressure, okay? Rotary, no, before we go to the rotary torque, let's go to SPM is how fast you are circulating. And this is what you are really manipulating. You are pumping with strokes per minute, you control this. And this is what is changing the DPP. Okay, if you want to increase DPP, you don't increase it directly. You don't tell it go from this PSI to this PSI. You just pump faster. You just pump faster, more strokes per minute. Okay, RPM is rotations per minute, revolutions per minute. That's when you are rotating. So this is circulating, this is rotating. And the impact of that is here, the torque, which is the rotational force. Okay? And here is what we call WOB, weight on the bit. How much weight you apply on the bit. Okay? Now, the torque from here also shows here, just like with the orange. Drilling rate is basically ROP. And then you have something very important. You have the mud flowing in and the mud flowing out. If you are drilling correctly, what is going to happen? Whatever mud goes in, goes out, right? So this should be equal. Now, if you are not circulating right now, I'm not circulating, so it's 0 in, 0 out. But if I have 100 in, 100 out, good. Whatever goes in, comes out. What if I have 100 in, 80 out?
You're not circulating well. That's all.
It means that I'm losing, it's low circulation. I'm losing 20 somewhere. This is bad. I have fractures somewhere and I'm losing fluid. Or I encounter a vaggy formation and it's I'm losing mud somewhere. Okay, what if I'm pumping at 100 and I'm getting 140? Yeah, something else is coming into my well. Then I need to be very, very careful. And you understand if I lost circulation, it will eventually become a kick. So I need to be worried anyway. Anyway, in this.
So that means two things can cause your kick, either your fracture.
Yeah. It's the two sides of the mud window. The left side, you don't have enough mud weight. Okay, you got to kick directly. You get out more than what you give in. The other side, you caused the fracture, you lost the weight, the mass, and then you got a kick. Both of them are gonna lead to the same. And then if you don't recognize the kick, you're gonna get a blow. So both ways, you are gonna lose your job. Or, anyway, so now we will see what happens when you before you start drilling and the drilling process, the start of drilling thing. I collapse the whole all the exercises we're gonna see in this class. I collapse them into something like 15 steps or like less than 20 steps. And the first 4 steps involve drilling, starting of drilling operation. And you are gonna see them today. But before we start drilling, we do what I said earlier. We are gonna pump at a given mud weight, at a given pump rate that I'm expecting to be drilling, and see how much is the DPP, drip pipe pressure, at that flow rate, okay? At that SPM. And I'm expecting to be drilling, giving you values now, 100 SPM. So I want the DPP at that 100 SPM. It will be around 1940 if I remember well, okay? But I will also try a slower pump rate. You know why? I will try something like a 40 SPM, and then ask what is the DPP at that point. In fact, I'm gonna try it before I try the 100. You know why? This slow pump rate is what I will use if I get a kick to circulate it out. If I get a kick and shut in the well and I have to circulate it out, I will use a slow pump rate of 40 SPM. I already determined that I'm gonna use 40 because of company policy, I guess. And therefore, I want to know what are my frictional losses at that point. In real life, what you will do is that you will measure at 30, 20, 10, and 40. And get a value for this, get a value for this, get a value for this. So you have a lot. And then you can approximate between one another accordingly. But in this, we do it as simple as we can. So I'm gonna do this, okay? Measure the DPP at 40, and then measure the DPP at 100. And then I will start drilling. And how would I start drilling? 4 steps. And I remember them by heart, and you should be remembering them by heart by the end of this class, if I remember well. Step number 1 is I will start circulating at 100 SPM, let's say. Doesn't have to be 100. Maybe they are drilling at 120, they are drilling at 140, they are drilling at 80, etc., etc. Then,
Must it always be 100?
huh?
Must it always be 100?
You?
I'm asking whether must it
No,
always be
no,
100?
no. No, it's just a standard.
Okay.
No, that's what I use in this one. Doesn't have to be. Step number 2, you're gonna rotate. I rotate at 60 RPM, okay? So I will change this and then this. Step number 3, what is the step number 3? Step number 3 is apply weight on beat. Let's just say I will move this needle to something like 26 kips. You know what is kips? 1,000 pound. 1,000 pound mass, I think, or pound force. Don't remember. But yeah, it's basically it's a big value. It's a very big value. And step number 4, I would be look for kick. I'll just be cautious. So did I do everything? One. I think, yeah, I think these are the 4 steps, the first steps. Anyway, so let's see the video. I think I can leave those stuff on the side. Okay. I show what is going to happen before I start the video, because the video I don't control the pace and I was doing it fast. And I think that you guys are going to be fast too if you do it, if you learn how to do it right. But okay, so now what are we doing here? Okay, I'm starting to, I want to erase the, what is it? Somebody said lost circulation, influx. Yes, that's true. Let me clean this, and I will be writing with the yellow. Okay, if you see what is happening, oh, I need to stop writing, and then if you see what is happening now, I'm circulating. Look at this, it's changing. I'm circulating, I'm pressing the plus sign to go to 40. And now I'm speeding it up, the simulation 15 times until this balances out. And it balances around what? 380. So this value is 380 PSI. Oh yeah. Yeah, no need to show you this stuff. I will show you them another time. 385. Okay, 385. That's good. Now I'm raising that to 100. And I think it's gonna go to almost 2000. Speeding it up. 1940 PSI. Something along those lines. Very nice. Now, oops. Okay. What am I gonna do now? I'm on the first step, I'm circulating. Now, I am rotating to 60. I change this value to 60. And before I move on, I want to show you something. Look at these values here. Look at these values, 418 and 418. What does that mean? Completely balanced. So they are not zero because I'm circulating, but they are balanced, right? So I'm good. And I have this video, actually, the link, I'm gonna put it on the useful documents, but it's also on the slides, I guess. So you can revisit it later on if you want. But yeah, and now I'm applying weight on the bit, the needle. Look at where the needle went to 26, 25 kips. And now, look, I have a drilling rate of 43, 44 feet per hour, right? If I show you guys, the video is going by very fast. So I have a needle here. How do I go back? I want to go back and see it. Okay. And now I need to write again. Where is the pen? So the needle is here, 60, 100. And then I want to show, no, that's the other video. I'm not gonna go through that. Okay, let's get it here. And okay, let's see the values here now that we have a little bit. I froze it at a certain point. Okay, I'm pumping at 100, I'm rotating at 60, I'm applying a weight on the bit of 25.8 kips. I have a rotary torque. I have a drilling rate of 44 RPM, feet per hour, And then I have a flow in of 418 and a flow out of 418. And my active pit volume is basically, it measures the amount of mud on the pit, okay? Now, that is a little bit more complex to discuss right now, but the idea is that if I'm getting a kick, the active pit volume will rise above at an abnormal value. And if I have low circulation, the active pit volume is gonna go down because I'm losing, right? That's the idea. But it also goes down because I'm drilling deeper. So you need to take that into account.
So how will you know that now it goes down
Well,
beyond the
it's,
abnormal that is supposed to go?
No, now it's fine. It's fine because I'm drilling. I don't have a kick now. I don't have any indication of a kick. We're going to talk about the kick indicators later, probably Thursday. But now everything is fine. And this went down from 200 to 182 because I drilled. And actually, I have the speed. I make the simulator speed by 15 times, so it's drilling very fast, right? That's why the active volume went down. But yeah, that's the idea. And the more comfortable you become with the simulator, the better. You don't have to all buy the simulator because the project is gonna be in pairs. So from a pair needs to be one of them needs to have it. But it's good to have it and exercise because it's really $50 and it can do over 90% of what the simulator downstairs can do, which is $100,000 and it's already outdated. So
Why waste $100,000?
and you can have it at your basically
On your phone.
it's on your phone and you can be at a bar
Taking beer.
and then work a kick. And actually, the best way to learn this stuff, and this is what I do, is that when you have a problem on this, or when you have a pressure somewhere that is a little bit abnormal, don't scrub it off and start a new simulation. Try to find the problem and fix it if it's not detrimental. If it's detrimental, if you got a kick or you fracture the casing shoe, it's game over for this simulator. But if you did something that is not game over, try to find the problem and fix it. That's how you learn how to use it and you make it useful, especially for online students because you are not going to be in class, on campus physically. So, I mean, you are going to come over and see the simulator. You're going to spend like one morning with it in the summer, but that's not enough. If you have this, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I know it went by very fast, but if you can slow the video and check it more slowly at your own pace, and I will suggest you do that. So, are they here?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw one.
Yeah, they are. Okay. It's 5 more minutes. Surgeon swap. So circulating is not the only way you can you can change your effective mud weight. It's also when you are moving pipe into the hole or running pipe out of the hole. It's called surge and swap. Now moving the drill string downwards, that means you are running in the hole or tripping in the hole. It's called surge. Pressure goes up. So you need to be careful of fracturing the rock when you are running pipe into the hole. But when you are moving pipe out of the hole, that's when you have swabbing effects. Okay, that's when you can get your mud weight to go smaller than the static mud weight, and that's basically effectively, which basically means that you are not circulating, but you could get a kick at that point because your mud weight may be 10, but the formation is feeling 9 or 8 because you are running it out of the hole. You are running pipe out of the hole. Now, modern day rigs, they have the capability of balancing that a little bit and you are able to trip in the hole and out of the hole faster. And they like that because tripping out of the hole takes over a shift, like 12 hours or something. You lose a lot of time without making any hole. So people want to avoid this and make it if you are able to trip in or out of the well faster, you are saving a lot of money, And there is several smart ways you can do that, balancing the pressures out, etc., etc. So swapping, think about it as a kick. Be worried about the kick because the bottom hole pressure is reduced. The formation is feeling a lower density than what it really is statically. And the surge is the opposite. You are worried about fracturing, and you are worried about basically because the rock is feeling a higher density than what it really is. One last point. Yeah, you can do back pressure. This is what they do to balance it out, but these are fancy ways that modern day rigs are trying to do for that. It's called NPT, non-productive time, when you are tripping in and out. And tripping in and out is big portion of that NPT. So people are targeting that to people who do optimization and stuff like that are trying to reduce that as much as possible. That's why they are trying to do smart things. Yep, the rest next Thursday. Any questions about the homework? I have office hours today. I'm available by email. Your TA is flying this evening, but he should be able to respond to emails and calls, I guess, tomorrow. Yeah, have a nice rest of your day, and I will see you all on Thursday. And yeah, try to start the homework as early as possible because it's more work than the first homework. It's not necessarily hard work, but it's more work. So yeah, start it early. Thank you very much. Have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you.